point of trials and tribulations, to learn, to grow, so that when you show what you know, the power that it holds and lifts up without any restraint,
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the pre-show for Silver Linings, a virtual benefit for Morrison Child and Family Services. We're so glad you've tuned in. I flew in for this special evening because I love having the opportunity to promote Morrison and connect with all of you. There's a positive power in being together. And it's an honor for me to pass the torch to our new CEO as I head off to being a supportive retiree. We'll get this show started with a very special performance, so stay tuned. I'd also like to welcome my fabulous co-host, Misty Markham of Markham Auction Agency. Thank you for joining us, Misty.
Thank you for having me, Drew. It's an honor to share the stage. I'm here to help everyone understand how you can participate in tonight's event. First, captions are available in both English and Spanish, so please follow along. To view them, click Show Captions below and select your preferred language. And if you find at any time you need tech support, please text or call our tech line at 503-564-3044. And please engage in the chat on the right. It's there for you to connect with everyone who's tuned in tonight. Drop in, say hi, let us know you're here with us tonight.
Yes, please use the chat window to say hi. We want to hear from you. Now, kick back, relax, and get ready for a special evening, including a keynote address from Dr. S. Renee Mitchell and a spoken word piece from students in her Empowered Resilience program, coming up in just a few moments. Stay tuned. Welcome to Silver Linings. I'm Drew Henry McWilliams, now former CEO of Morrison, coming to you live from our event studio in Portland. Along with our amazing community members tuned in virtually, I'm also joined by Misty and a small but mighty studio audience. However, you're joining us, so we're glad to have you here. And now let's kick things off with a special performance right here in our studio live, featuring students Kendall Brown Clay and Shiloh Day, who work with our keynote speaker, Dr. S. Renee Mitchell, who works with youth to bring their voices front and center, to own their experience as empowered members of our community. We'll hear more about this from Dr. Mitchell later in the program. So let's give these students a round of applause as they make their way to the stage.
Thank you. These are our stories. Growing up, my mother would tell me stories, some about her life, some bedtime ones, and some about me. The things I did growing up, my oddities and such. And as I grew older, the stories I thought of as my own, I realized are ours. Each story like a stroke of a paintbrush to coming together to make our life a piece of art. You see, my mom and I look alike. Both golden skin, curly hair, honey eyes. I realize there's many stories of us, women who look like us, the black woman who came before us, and the black woman who suffered for us. I had to find these stories because they got lost. No, better yet, hidden. These are those stories. Sally Hemings. Born into slavery, owned by Thomas Jefferson, she was 14 when he started impregnating her. Together, they had 4 children. This is a story of our stolen time and bodies. Millie and Christine McCoy. Born into slavery, they were considered genealogical wonders. Although they had separate limbs, they were joined at the hip. During their life, they were stolen, kidnapped, and made to endure grotesque medical procedures. This is a story of stealing our freedom. Breonna Taylor, shot and killed by the police in 2020 while she was sleeping. They had the wrong apartment. This is a story of always the wrong time and always the wrong place. The stories of the black women who were medically sterilized. The stories of the black women who were brought on ships and the ones who chose to jump. The story of missing black women that no one loses sleep over, can't breathe over, can't eat over, but us. My mother's stories, my grandmother's stories, my sister's stories. The stories dipped, rolled, and covered in suffering. The stories that make me, that make you, that make us. So why are we the only ones telling our story? Thank you.
The rain must come. We all know the song of silver and gold, plating our tongues with 24 carats of non-physical treasure in hopes that the words uttered from it hold higher value. Is that not the point of trials and tribulations? To learn, to grow, so that when you show what you know, the power that it holds weighs down any doubt and lifts up without any restraint or fear for what awaits. When the rain pours down from unstable, sable clouds, do you frown and stay inside or go outside and dance? The rain must come pouring down. That's what makes the sun shining back so special. What helps the plants stretch to the sky. What reminds you to let go because not everything is in your control. These clouds are not just concealer you can smudge away at the end of the day, but when they bring you shade and you look up, do you focus on how long the cloud will be there, or do you look for the beauty and the silver lining all around it? We've been conditioned to consciously let poison seep in and sing curses like hymns, and when the wind shifts, we're told to hunker down, like the forces of nature herself are not at our back guiding us. When hypnotic frequencies ignite the fire inside of us, they label it inciting while their allies in disguise light the flame that spreads and tears down building after building. When bricks fly and smash windows like piggy banks, they point their dirt-caked fingers to the crowd 10 feet over. We've been conditioned to look ourselves in the mirror with conversations about the million ways to be superior until we begin to believe we actually are inferior. Stand tall and in the flesh, and know any limits they try to put on you, they already put on themselves, and they just can't stand to see you do better than they can even imagine doing. You are in more control than you might be able to recognize. When that voice starts to talk you down, talk you back up. How will you get to the top of the mountain if you keep turning to walk back down? Because waiting for you is not a place above the clouds, but the space to walk among them. Thank you.
I appreciate the heartfelt words and sharing. Thank you to these two amazing students, Shiloh and Kendall. Thank you. Some of the things that are ringing for me from what you shared are stories together. Why are we the only ones telling our stories? And the beauty in silver lining. And finally, I'm going to be paraphrasing, but you are in more control than you might be able to recognize. Your words are words that remind me of what Morrison staff are trying to do for kids and families every day, helping them tell their stories about what's happened to them, seeing the silver lining in the midst of their struggles and their successes. And I like the notion of recognizing that they have more control than they previously realized. Thank you. It's hard to go right to sponsorships, just taking it all in, but again, thank you, heartfelt thank you. Silver Linings, this event is made possible by so many, including our presenting sponsor, PCC Structurals. Let's go ahead at this time and hear a special message from Chris Grayerbill, former PCC Structurals VP and Morrison board member.
My name is Chris Grayerbill. I'm here tonight on behalf of PCC Structurals. One of the guiding principles of PCC's giving program is support of children and families. So the relationship with Morrison is just very natural. And it's one that's very special and longstanding, and one that PCC values. I think if you take a look at the people and how integral the people are to their job and their community, I think you see similarities with that at PCC. PCC has also, been in this community for over 75 years, like Morrison. So they are a big part of the community, and I think you definitely see that. How important is the relationship between the job and the community. And if I take a look at some of the important people at Morrison, you see that similar characteristic. For all of you tuning in online, and for those of you here in person, welcome. Tonight's going to be a great night to help celebrate Morrison Child and Family Services. I'm also excited to announce a match challenge for tonight's event. PCC is going to match the first $10,000 in contributions. So let's make some money for Morrison.
As many of you know, I'm Drew Henry McWilliams, the now former CEO of Morrison. I've ventured out of my recent retirement because I can't resist a chance to gather with you all today on Morrison's exact anniversary of our now 76th anniversary, our founding on March 15th, 1947. Happy 76th birthday, Morrison. As we are all here to celebrate some of the most important things in life, family, community, strength, new beginnings, our work with children and families empowers them, keeps them together, and offers tangible hope for a better future. And we couldn't do any of this without the help of each and every one of you. With spring on the horizon, it really is coming. It's hard to believe we're almost a quarter of the way into 2023. These past few years have presented unique challenges, and we're still navigating the new normal even today. And we've learned once again that we must lean on each other. When we are there for someone in the toughest moments or a part of their best moments, we foster connections that give us hope. And no matter how hard it gets, we can all find the silver linings to pull us forward. That's what we have the honor of supporting tonight. A whole community of people who believe in the power of kindness, love, and joy. Mental health and prevention heroes who leave lasting impacts on children, youth, and families who are destined for a great life, clearing pathways towards promising futures. If you're craving that connection, do please use the chat window to say hello. Let us know where you're tuning in from or what brings you here tonight. Captions are also available in English and Spanish, so if you want to follow along, just click Show Captions below to select your preferred language. Now, I'd like to offer gratitude for our friends who helped make Silver Linings possible. Thank you so much now to our sponsors. And as I've mentioned, our presenting sponsor is PCC Structurals. Thank you again for your incredible support. Thank you to our platinum sponsor and longtime partner, Pacific Office Automation. Thank you to our gold sponsors, Care Oregon, Durham and Bates Insurance, Ferguson Wellman Capital Management, Tube Forgings of America, and Zidell Marine Corporation. To our silver sponsors, thank you, Columbia Bank, Davidson Benefits Planning, and Mall, Foster, and Alongi. And our bronze sponsors, Jordan Schnitzer and the Harold and Arlene Schnitzer Care Foundation, CETA, Coastline Public Relations, Greenbridge Investment Management, Hoffman, Stewart and Schmidt, Jan Pro Cleaning and Disinfecting, Jones Lang LaSalle, Kaiser Permanente, Northwest Capital Management, Pacific Source Health Plans, Securitas, Stevens Integrated Solutions, and Summit Salon Academy. As you can tell, we have a lot of support. I want to share a very special thanks to the mental health and prevention heroes who make up our staff, volunteers, board, contributors, and everyone who makes this work possible. Each day you show up, you give back, and you are the reason so many of our families get the tools they need to stay together. We see you, and we greatly appreciate you. Heartfelt. It's been a privilege to work with you all in my time as CEO, and I'm absolutely thrilled to see what's next for Morrison. We have incredible staff leading the charge, and I have no doubt the organization will see growth like never before. I'm very excited for what Morrison is going to do next. And it's my pleasure to bring Morrison's CEO Nick Gallo to the stage. He is going to speak more about the road ahead. And as many of you know, Nick brought his leadership to Morrison last February as Chief of Staff and is now courageously leading Morrison into the future. Welcome to Silver Linings, Nick. And let me officially pass the torch to you.
Thank you, Drew. And hello, everyone. It is an honor and a privilege for me to join you, the Morrison community, here at Silver Linings this evening. 10,000. 10,000. 10,000 children and families served year over year. This is our bold goal for the future of Morrison Child and Family Services. However, to us, 10,000 children and families served is not good enough. It is our responsibility, it is our commitment, it is our obligation to ensure each and every one of the 10,000 children and families benefits from best-in-class programs and services. This is our bold goal for the future. So how do we get there? We get there through a broad range of support and investments from our community that cares and is committed to the success and well-being of children and families. And we get there through the highly skilled work and dedication of our brilliant, creative, energetic, diverse, and dynamic team. All day, every day, early in the morning to late into the evening, and even all through the night in some of our programs. Our dedicated team of over 400 staff go above and beyond to ensure that children and families we serve have what they need to be successful. Tonight, we're here to showcase the work of our incredible parent mentors who help over 1,000 children and families per year, one family at a time. I also urge you to listen to the lesser told story, the story of the work of parent mentors do to support systems and to support organizations and to support us all in better understanding the real life needs of people in our community and how we can all be a part of the solution. Right now, I'm also excited to announce a $10,000 match gift from Ellen Mackey and Howard Pfeiffer. That is $10,000 in support of the 10,000 children and families served. Now, and now, back to you, Drew.
Thank you for sharing your vision, Nick. It's exciting to see where Morrison can go from here to continue serving the thousands we already serve, and let's hear it for Nick. Now I want to reintroduce my delightful co-host who will be leading the way for all the fundraising we're going to do tonight. So please welcome Misty Markham of Markham Auction Agency.
Thank you, Drew. It's good to be here with you in the flesh. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much. It's great to be back on Silver Linings stage. Tonight, we're benefiting Morrison Child and Family Services. You know why you're here. Every year at this event, we have the chance to learn the many ways Morrison shows up for families and children. And this year, we want to highlight one of those special programs, the Parent Mentors Program. A parent mentor is a parent who has experienced challenges in his or her parenting, has maintained an active program of recovery from substance use for 2 years or more, and has successfully navigated the child welfare system. Parent mentors support parents in entering treatment, maintaining sobriety, and reuniting with their children. They're familiar with the many roads to recovery and support parents through all stages of theirs. Some of these parents invited us in to learn more about what this network does to create relevant, crucial support for families through stories about their own experiences. Let's hear more.
So I first heard about the organization when I first got into recovery the first time, and I had actually applied for the job and I had the position, and it was actually taken back from me because of my driving record, and at which point I had then relapsed and became a participant of the program. So I was born to parents that were both addicts. My mom was a prostitute, my dad was her pimp, and there was a lot of abuse in my household, and that was my norm. Growing up, that really was what I knew to be normal. Within the trauma, I didn't really have any good coping skills, and so as I got older, I chose drugs and bad relationships. When I became a participant of the program, I was very shameful, and I felt that I was going to be judged because I had gone from one side to the other. And when Kimberly showed up at my front door at a trap house with that bright smile on her face, ready to offer me services with no judgments passed, with the tears in my eyes and with all her grace, gave me that opportunity, knowing that that was something that I was going to need, knowing that I know the value of this program, and not allowing my shame and guilt to take over and stop me from being part of the program and actually utilizing the services.
I'm Kimberly Macklin. I am the program director for the Parent Mentor program. Parent mentors have lived experience successfully navigating the child welfare system and becoming successful members of society. The Parent Mentor program started 20 years ago with 5 women in recovery and 1 contract in Multnomah County. Today we have 45 mentors, 11 supervisors, and we have 6 contracts in 6 counties. Mentors have the lived experience that makes a difference and helps them make a positive change in their life. It's not just about changing the parent narrative. It's about changing the system narrative and combating society narrative and the stigma surrounding substance use disorder. Recovery is possible. Change can happen.
I was DHS involved back in '07, and I went through a lot of things. I had addiction, I had mental health, and then also my own son was going through his own struggles with mental health, and he really needed extra support and services. I just remember when I got cleaned up and decided to make a change, and it was going to require a lot of different things, a lot of different changes in scenery. I had to move, I had to do all these things. And I remember engaging in a lot of the services that the agency was asking me. The theme that kept coming across and they kept expressing to me was like, wow, we don't have dads who do this very much. And it was like, well, why not? They just want to be heard. And I feel like that really brings down a lot of the walls that they have up, because they haven't been heard for some time, and they don't feel represented. And so just being able to give them a place, a space for them to be able to say what's on their mind without judgment. You know, especially for men, it's hard for us to ask for help, you know, and but it's also a sign of strength, and that allowing them that bridge to be able to drop their guard just long enough for them to be able to express, I need help. I don't know where to go from here, is very, very important. I think that human quality, just being able to meet them where they're at.
I think Morrison should go nationwide, to be honest with you, after taking the time to be part of the R3 project and go to Minnesota and train their mentors. The things that we're doing is amazing. The research that they're trying to come up with to show that this program truly works. Like, I really feel that this program itself, the Parent Mentor program, could go nationwide, absolutely. And that's my hopes for Morrison.
Thank you so much for sharing your touching stories. It's time now for us to raise a wave of support for these funds to fund these life-altering programs and services, and who knows, maybe go nationwide. Please give generously and offer more parents hope as they move boldly into the next phases of their lives. Let's remind them they're never alone. I implore you all to make a gift in any amount that calls to you tonight at any time during our program. I will recognize all gifts because every dollar matters. And friends tuned in from home, all you have to do is click that donate button above or scroll down to the donation portal below. Alternately, everybody can use their phone to donate. Just text the word Morrison, Morrison, to the number 44321. You'll receive a secure link reply to give your gift. Make sure it says Silver Linings on top. And before we get started, I want to remind everyone that PCC Structurals is matching the first $10,000 donated right now, right here. So join at any level that you feel compelled and double your impact. Also, at the $500 level, Ellen Mackey and Howard Pfeiffer will be matching the first 20 $500 donations. So let's see all of that impact get doubled tonight and meet both of these matches. All right, we've got some exciting lead gifts to recognize. I'd like to give a huge thanks to Mark Holloway and David Call for a $5,000 lead gift. It's okay to clap, everybody. Yes. Also joining us with $5,000 of support is a retired Morrison board member and his wife. Thank you for your $5,000 gift. We've also got $2,500 flowing in right now from Foundation Board and Operating Board member Betsy Keller, and an anonymous donor joining us with $2,500 of support. A huge, huge thank you to PCC Structurals for their $10,000 match as well. Folks, our next formal level of giving is $1,000, but again, join us at any dollar amount that sings to you tonight. And to give, just click above or text Morrison to 44321. Be the silver lining for parents navigating recovery. Give generously. And joining us with $1,500 of support is Pat Benavides. Thank you so much. As well as former Morrison CEO and my co-host tonight, Drew Henry McWilliams, and his partner Eric, joining us with $1,500. Thank you so much. Also joining with $1,500, former board member Susan Hennessy and Marcus Wood. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Yes. And now, folks joining us with $1,000 of support are Foundation board member Steve Taylor and his wife Jenny. Thank you for $1,000 of support. Our operating board chair, Jane Holbrook. Thank you so much. As well as Foundation board chair David Thompson and my elf brother and his wife Erin, joining us with $1,000. Also joining $1,000 of support is Operating Board Treasurer Dr. Christine Moses. We thank everybody at the $1,000 and above level for your support tonight. Thank you so much. Our next level of giving this evening is $500. And remember, Ellen Mackey and Howard Pfeiffer are matching the first 20 gifts at $500, $10,000 of impact. So please join us. Invest in Morrison's future with a $500 gift right now and see it doubled. To give, again, click donate below or text Morrison to 44321 to make your donation. And look, joining us right now with $500 of support, we have Joan Welch. Thank you. Board Director Emeritus Mark Fovinci and his wife, Ulrika. Thank you so much. As well as Kelly Neville and Robert Murray, all joining us with $500 of support. So keep them coming, folks. We really, really appreciate all of the donations that we're getting. And as they filter in, I promise to match them and read and definitely recognize you. But in the interest of time, let's say thank you to our $500 and above donors and move to our next level of giving, $250. And again, folks, we need just 16 gifts to meet our $500 match. It's easy to give a $250 gift. If any amount that calls to you, maybe it has more zeros than that. It's okay. I will take them. Every dollar count. But you know what to do. Click the donate button up top or text your gift in by texting Morrison to 44321. Now, I'd like to say thank you to some fabulous supporters joining us right now with $250 gifts. Ted and Tracy Wall, thank you. EMA Architecture, LLC, thank you for your $250. Sydney Joyner of the Joyner Group, thank you so much. Marvin Taylor, all with $250 gifts, folks. Tom Kelly, Dr. Sajal and Manju Dutta, thank you so much. Patricia Danucci, Chris Grierbiel, thank you so much. Dan Little, Aaron Thompson giving again at $250. Thank you so much to the Thompsons. Scott Burns, Jay Bloom, and Luke Huffstutter, all joining us right now with $250. Let's give them a huge round of applause. Thank you so much. Again, folks, we need just 16 more $500 gifts to maximize our match tonight, double your impact in the community. And finally, folks, our final formal level of giving is $100, or really any amount that you want to give. We will take it right now. We have the chance to be part of something so much bigger than ourselves by investing in support for courageous recovery, healing, and love. So send your gift right now in any increment. Again, click donate above or text Morrison to 44321. This is our chance to offer hope tonight. Thank you so much to $100 donors joining us right now. Christopher Stoger with $150. Thank you. We've got 2 anonymous donors. Jay Bloom giving a second gift tonight at $100. Thank you. Erna Gellis, James Eschman. Thank you so much to Jim Rice, Nicola Clifford, Hector Roche or Roche. Not sure. Either way, thank you so much. JW for your $100. We appreciate you. David and Alice Thielen, thank you so much. Elijah Paul and Brian Carter, all joining us tonight with $100 of support. Thank you, Mary Thompson, for a $500 gift, which is being matched. And folks, this brings us down to needing only 15 more gifts at $500 in order to maximize our match tonight. Wow, this is pretty incredible. I'd like to say thank you to a few more people that are joining us. Julie Greenlee with $50. Thank you, Sarah Grigsby, Emily Newberry, Susan Dupree, Lynn Capretto with $50, Sandra Moore. We thank you. Every dollar counts. Keep it coming. I would love to give a huge round of applause for all of our $100 and above donors tonight, and in fact, every donor at every level. You really showed up for Morrison. Thank you so much. Patricia Weekly just sent in an additional $100, and while your gifts filter in, I'd like to invite Drew back to the stage to present our next segment. And again, thank you so much for joining us with all of your gifts and support tonight, everyone.
We're not supposed to make that clapping noise. I know it might be a little hard on you hearing in our virtual audience. So thank you so much, Misty. And to everyone who has invested in this work, please continue your giving and we'll be back shortly to recognize you. Now it's time to present this year's winner of the Goldman Award. And I will be joined by Nick Gallo, our CEO, and Jane Holbrook, our board chair, to help with this distinguished honor.
Thanks, Drew. This award is given in memory of Muriel and Marvin Goldman for their lifetime commitment to improving the lives of children in Oregon. And it recognizes a Morrison champion who is committed to improving the lives of children in our community. Today, we honor Governor Kate Brown's lifetime contributions, many years of hard work, perseverance, and dedication to children, youth, and families struggling with mental health, substance dependence, poverty, and racism.
From my years of experience at Morrison, Governor Brown has been an essential Oregonian ally for our programs, including significant and personalized and inspirational support of our Parent Mentor program. I admire and thank you, Governor Brown.
Congratulations, Governor Brown. Please join us up here, Governor. And let's have a round of applause for this year's Goldman Award for Outstanding Community Service.
Thank you for your years of service, really extraordinary. And thanks for your years of service that are coming.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Do I get a couple of minutes to say a few things? Okay, all right. It's been a while since I've been on a stage. It feels really good to be back on stage again. I'm incredibly honored to accept this award in the spirit of both Muriel and Marvin Goldman. I had the incredible honor of working with Muriel for a number of years, beginning at the state capitol when I was the advocate for the Women's Rights Coalition, and then as I became a newly minted legislator. And Muriel brought to the Capitol a number of things. She was incredibly passionate about serving our children and families, and she and I shared a vision that every child in the state will have the opportunity to thrive and achieve their full potential, and that our parents will have the support and services they need to thrive as well. She also was incredibly well prepared, whether it was testifying in front of a legislative committee or meeting with elected officials. She always had her ducks in a row and she knew her stuff. And of course, Muriel never, ever gave up. And so I am truly honored to accept this award on her behalf. It's been incredibly challenging number of years for Oregon, for the world, particularly for our children and our families. And I ask all of you tonight to join me and my husband Dan, who's here with me tonight, in supporting Morrison Child and Family Services. Morrison provides extraordinary services to our children and their families and their parents. And I just want to say thank you to all of the frontline staff who've just done an amazing job through these challenging times, and wish all of our children and their parents the very best in the future. Thank you. I'm truly honored. Thank you all so much.
Congratulations, Governor. Thank you for your impactful work for families in Oregon. When fellow behavioral health and prevention nonprofits asked to be included, and I was at the forefront of doing that asking at the beginning of the first available COVID vaccines, you and your crew helped make that happen statewide. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's time now to welcome our much anticipated keynote speaker, the inspiring Dr. S. Renee Mitchell. Dr. Mitchell is an educator, entrepreneur, a Pulitzer Prize nominated journalist, and the visionary founder of a nationally award-winning and transformative youth leadership development initiative called I Am More, Making Ourselves Resilient Every Day. Dr. Mitchell is an expert in culturally relevant social emotional learning and healing from racial trauma, and her youth development organization is one of only a few in the country with a trifecta seal of approval: research, evidence, and theory-based. Her upcoming book is titled In My Power, I Empower: Moving Black Youth from Spirit Murder to Emotional Emancipation. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Mitchell.
Thank you for that warm welcome. I appreciate it. So she asked me, "Are you famous?" That happened last week. We were in a in a clothing store, and she peeked her head out of the dressing room and asked me this question. And I said, no, I'm not famous. But she still persisted, like I was lying about it. Well, you seem like someone who was famous. Thank you. I was flattered, of course, but I was curious about why she was so insistent about asking me that question. So I was talking to a girlfriend of mine about it later, a very wise woman in her 70s, and she told me something that was pretty profound. She said, "You don't see yourself the same way other people see you, because you still see yourself as Sharon." That reality check was profound for me. And who is Sharon? Well, that's the S in the S. Renee Mitchell. I dropped my first name when I moved across country to attend college on a full ride scholarship. I was 17 and was ready to make my own decisions about my own life. But I kept that first initial to remind myself of where I had come from. It's a journey I'm still trying to figure out. And despite the things that I've accomplished, most of us see ourselves through our imperfections, as I did with that question about being famous, while other people, looking from the outside, see us through our strengths. And my hope is that by sharing a little bit of my journey with you tonight, that we will see a little bit behind the curtain, the public facade that I show you that makes it seem like I have it all together. But maybe, just maybe, as you learn more about me, the real me, through the poetry I share in my life experiences, you can find some commonalities that can help support you on your journey, or even provide a hint at the challenges that other people are dealing with, strangers or even friends or clients who may need a word of encouragement, a shoulder to lean on, or a kind gaze and a smile to help guide them toward resiliency. Are you with me? Okay, please respond by saying, I see you. Let's start with the first photo. So, actually, let me go back a little bit. My dad. My story begins, that I'm going to share with you, begins at age 4. So I'm a middle child. I was sandwiched between 8 children and a miscarriage within a span of about 9 years. I was a sad and moody child. I always felt overlooked, unseen, and so I'm going to share a poem with you that I wrote that's called Invisible. At home, I am brown-skinned, knock-kneed, and sullen. She looks like me, this girl in the bathroom mirror, hurriedly scraping her teeth across her gap-toothed smirk. I run 2 blocks, skip every other stair, and then I walk slowly as to not draw ire. I sit at my desk in my classroom in the front row, wiggling my hand like it is on fire. Ooh, 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 I know. I see my teacher, white-haired, grandmotherly. Same birthday as mine. I smile even wider this day. Then the dance begins. First, her eyes avert away from mine, and then her legs shift around my yawning absence, as do the students who look like her. They repeat this dance every day, every one of them, in the classroom, on the playground, in the lunchroom. I decide I must check out that mirror again, just to make sure I actually exist. See, in that store about a week ago, I was a version of that Sharon all over again. Uncomfortable with flattery, nervous about the rug being pulled from under me. In that moment, I viewed this compliment from a stranger as an oversized jacket that didn't quite fit. So let me dive a little deeper into my backstory. I was raised by a mother who was raised by Catholic nuns after her own mother dropped her off at a convent in Wisconsin from Arkansas to protect her from the men who could not control their sexual urges. So by the time she was 12, my mother never spent much time with her own mother or her younger siblings, whom I've never met. And the trauma that my mother never healed from was the trauma that was eventually transferred to her children. I took on a lot of emotional baggage that really did not even belong to me, yet I learned how to claim it like it was my own. So my emotional baggage began really early. You see, here are the things that I wished I had been told, but what I really heard was something quite different. And looking back, I can't recall one moment of my childhood where I was genuinely happy, except when I was by myself, making up imaginary worlds with my hand-me-down dolls, or reading a book, or writing a story, or drawing a picture. These creative moments were some of the few times that you would catch me smiling. And that's because I was teased so much about the gap in my teeth, which I inherited from my father. And it wasn't until I was much older that I realized how many more attributes that were also similar to my dad. My father, Leroy Ward Mitchell, was a well-known community activist in Northern California, and he was the family breadwinner. As a college professor, he took students to visit Africa. He was also a writer, an artist, a creator, and my hero. He died unexpectedly, though, when I was 11 years old, because doctors refused to treat him, a black man, in their white hospital. So we later learned that he had a blood clot that started in his leg and moved up and stopped his heart. So grief and trauma were constant companions. It wasn't after his death, which I was never really able to grieve from. My mother moved us from Northern California to rural Newburgh, where the KKK had a historically strong foothold on the town's politics. There were nervous school officials who held a community meeting to announce that they would have black students, all from one family, integrating their their elementary, middle, and high schools. It was not a fun place to try to learn. At age 14, my freshman year, I was beat up by a football player, a popular senior, while my teachers and the rest of the students in my homeroom class looked from the window, and he was never disciplined for that. At age 15, on my way to Portland Community College to take classes that would help me graduate at age 16, like my two older sisters did, I was hit by a speeding car while standing on a sidewalk. Initially, the emergency room doctor wanted to cut my leg off. It had completely snapped in half from the impact of the stolen car from a 14-year-old girl who had been drinking with an older guy. I remember when they wheeled me into surgery, I kept shouting, "Check for blood clots, check for blood clots," because 3 years after my father's death, I still hadn't processed my grief. And I had years of multiple surgery to heal the physical wounds, but the emotional and the psychological wounds remained. And even though I was in the hospital for about 3 months, I still managed to graduate early from high school at age 17, mostly because I wanted to get the heck out of Oregon, which I thought was the most racist place ever from my experiences. And although my teachers insisted I was not college material, I received a full ride scholarship to a predominantly black college in Florida, where I majored in journalism. And it was the first time I had ever been exposed to a black teacher. He treated me like family. However, I was still shy, I was still insecure, and I was very, very naive. I was kidnapped in my first semester by an adult stranger and sexually assaulted. And afterward, other students assumed I was arrogant because I didn't talk that much. But it was really because I was still shell-shocked from the smell of fermenting grief. I made very good grades, but I had very few friends. And my friend was my pen, and we got along very, very, very well. I excelled in the one thing I knew how to do really well, which was write. And I became a columnist for the Oregonian. And eventually, I divorced my first husband, and I moved back to Oregon with my 3 children from Detroit, a daughter and twin boys. And eventually, I became the columnist, where I was nominated for the Pulitzer. I also completed my master's degree from George Fox University in Newburgh. I was successful in my journalism career, but I was really just a shell of myself. I was productive, but I was completely overwhelmed and very depressed, except when I was writing. So I had an amazing career as S. Renee, but ultimately I hadn't really escaped from the emotional broken clutches of Sharon. She still desperately wanted to be seen and heard and loved. So instead, I ignored my inner child who needed to be validated, who needed to be nurtured, and ended up marrying another man who was emotionally and verbally abusive and escorted me to the edge of a nervous breakdown. And after that second divorce, in order to process what I had experienced, I wrote and performed a play, I wrote a novel, recorded a CD, all called Tangoing with Tornadoes. that made my pain sound poetic. And all those years of running from my unprocessed trauma finally caught up with me. After I got divorced for the second time, I was in a very, very deep depression. I needed to get grounded in the creative spaces that I loved so much as a child. And so eventually, I quit my job at the Oregonian, to many people's surprise. And I began to write again for myself. I wrote plays, including the city's first jazz opera. I began to paint, sold 14 paintings in my first show, never painted before. I made jewelry and clothes, but I still wasn't whole inside. I also worked in schools as a teaching artist, and I encountered a number of Black and brown children who reminded me of myself as an elementary school student, shy, insecure, wanting to be seen. So I wrote and illustrated a children's book based on my own childhood, and I taught children songs to remind them of their courage. If I could be brave, I could change the world. And then 10 years after I left the Oregonian, I was recruited to teach at Roosevelt High School. At the time, it was the state's most diverse high school. And for years, I was the only Black teacher. And it was at that school in North Portland where I recognized that the trauma that I had experienced almost my entire life was what a lot of the youth were also being replicated in their lives. And they needed someone to see them. So one of the young ladies that I met at Roosevelt reminded me so much of myself. She was a middle child, enveloped in sadness. Her name is Justice. And like me, she was told she was not college material. And it was partly because of her and these two other young ladies at Roosevelt that I found what is now a nationally winning youth empowerment program. And eventually I quit my job as a teacher to pursue my doctoral research at the University of Oregon, focusing on developing I Am More to provide culturally relevant social emotional learning and leadership building. And my organization has been operating since 2019, but last year received almost $1.5 million from the City of Portland, Myra Memorial Trust, Oregon Community Foundation, among other grantors, in order to build leadership in Black youth, which research documents is the most prodigiously traumatized adolescent group ever. It's still a work in progress. To be clear, this path steered me in this direction was grounded in my own trauma and my desire to have my life mean something. So I took my trauma and I gave it a purpose. And because I started to recognize my own trauma through my work with other people's trauma, I started to heal in the process. See, we're all a compilation of the stories that we tell ourselves based on our life experiences. And until we start to acknowledge the existence of past trauma, the wound of it festers below our awareness until it shows up as a mental health issue, such as anxiety or depression, or a health problem, such as high blood pressure or a stroke. We can't forever ignore the roadblocks on our way toward healing. We have to fully feel the feelings in order to heal our hidden wounds. So why is this important? Because trauma unhealed is trauma transferred. Transferred from parent to child, from sibling to sibling, from teacher to student, from one race to another. All pain, every act of violence, every encounter with road rage, every fit of anger, every attempt to dehumanize another person's humanity all stems from the same place: hidden and unhealed trauma. See, we're all serving as mirrors to someone else's pain. And once we start to recognize that, we can stop taking it personally when a teacher, a sibling, or a neighborhood bully tries to belittle you or destroy your confidence. That person, what I've learned from my research, is only reflecting what is already inside of them that hasn't been healed. Yes, hurt people, but healed people can also heal people. And isn't that what Morrison's mission is all about? Serving thousands of children every year. Sad children, neglected children, children who don't understand their own worth, children who, like Sharon, have the potential to find their voice and become their own superhero. If I could be brave, if I could change the world. So all children that you serve and you care about have the potential to be more than the Sharon that they are, and be something all of us have deserve a chance to be seen, to be cared about, to be healed, and to be loved. We are not here as adults to save them. We are here to liberate them, to give them hope, to offer reasons to not just stay alive, but to live their lives to the fullest, to see their own potential within themselves. So that day that the woman asked me if I was famous, she saw something in me that in that moment I wasn't seeing in myself. She saw a light from within, an inner peace, from walking through an intentional path toward healing, a standing tall even when my toes are scared. She saw all of that inner confidence and equated it with fame. But what was really there was a healed heart radiating from the inside out. So as part of my healing process, I wrote this poem that I'm going to share with you about my inner Sharon. I encourage all of you to take the time to see the desperately wounded child inside of our own selves and love that child into healing, so that you set an example for the children who are in most need of your wisdom. And this is just as important. Hold grace for the adults in your life too. Some of us, like me in that moment at the clothing store, get so distracted by our doubts, our fears, our traumas, our worries, that we don't feel worthy enough to receive a compliment. We don't always feel worthy enough to even receive something kind, even though inside we are desperately yearning for that kind of love and approval. So hold grace. Hold grace for other people, whether children or adults, even people who are acting badly. Again, the people you meet that get on your nerves the most might be so lost in their unprocessed pain and internal suffering that they are showing you by their behavior the fear that hides inside of them, the loneliness, the rejection that they have already experienced and haven't healed the grief that they haven't figured out how to let go of. So when we receive grace, like that woman in the store gave me, a reminder of something greater than the version of myself that was in my head in that moment. And it is only when we know better that we could do better. So I close with this poem titled, Someday. Hey you, with your head down, lip poked out like it's sweeping the floor. Why do you care so much about what they have to say? They're not talking about anything. They haven't even read your dictionary. They don't know. Ugly, stupid, clumsy. That doesn't define you. One day, you're gonna find the world holding its breath, waiting for your words. One day, they're gonna wish they called you friend. If I could be brave, I could change the world. If I could be brave, I could be like Dr. Martin Luther King. If I could be brave, I could change the world. If I could be brave, I can be and do whatever that I dream. Be brave. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Thank you for your excellence, and thank you for your leadership. I am more, healing people, healing people. Parent Mentors Program at Morrison, healing people, healing people. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your time and your expertise with us today. Now we have a little surprise for you, Drew. We want to share our best wishes as you transition into your much-deserved retirement. Let's take a look.
All right, Drew, this is completely off the cuff and unprepared, but please know it is heartfelt, and I wish I had enough words and enough time to tell you truly how thankful I am for our relationship and for all that you have done here at Morrison and for our community. No one truly deserves a break as much as you, and I am so happy that you are now going to get to relax with Eric and enjoy that beautiful sunshine. I'm happy for you. I wish you nothing but good health and joy in the coming years. And please know that this is not goodbye, because I do fully anticipate us knocking on your door sometime soon. I wish you well. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Drew, it occurs to me that Morrison has had a few transformational leaders in its 75-year history, and I would put you right up there at the top of the list along with our founder, Carl Morrison.
I know I've only known you virtually over these last 2 years. This is our second meeting in person, but you've had such an impact on me, such a fantastic leader in the community, and your impact on this organization will last forever. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
My dear Drew, hard to find all the words that I'd like to say to you about what you've meant to our community, to Morrison. You know that you have been a pivotal person in my life to help me grow, that helps me be better, and gives me somebody to emulate. Your mentoring has meant just the world to me, and the finest thing in all of my career has been being asked twice to work with you. I'm so glad you've earned your chance to spend some time in the warm sun, but I know you know your legacy is so long. It stretches miles and years and decades and way beyond Morrison.
I'm so happy to have been in this agency, well, under your leadership. I appreciate you, everything that you have done for the agency, for the ORR programs, and just yourself, how you always showed up to meetings, how you always showed up to the programs just to visit. I appreciate that and admire that about you, and I am excited and happy about you going into this new chapter of your life, but also sad because you will be missed. And thank you so much for everything you have done.
Your appreciation for the experiences and the pain that children and family have, and your ability to advocate for their needs. So I wish you also a wonderful retirement and happiness, and that the next phase of your life is deep and rich and meaningful, and I will carry you forward in my heart too. Thank you, Drew.
Drew, can I just say, when I heard about your retirement, alarm bells started going off in my head and my heart. And now there are a few in the studio, and so apologies for the delay, but I'm very excited to share with you that I'm grateful for your lifetime contribution to this work.
Wait. Before we go any further, I would like to make a quick announcement. Drew has given Morrison and the community 25 years of his life. And we would like to honor these years of dedication and accomplishment in a significant and long-lasting way. Tonight, we are excited to announce that Morrison will be creating a sanctuary healing garden in his name. The enhanced and enlarged outdoor space next to the Rotary Youth Center will be a place for Morrison. The staff, the clients can visit, spend some downtime, reflect, connect with each other, and connect with nature. We hope that once the improvements are done, that you can come back again. And before, that we hope you will come back so we can properly dedicate that space to you.
Thank you, Jane. And thank you again, Drew.
Well, it's a privilege to be right next to my Rotary Club's big sponsored youth center for our kids and the families. So I am deeply touched and honored, and I look forward to the future.
Looking forward to seeing you again soon. And also looking forward to Misty coming back up to recognize a few more gifts. Would you please do the honors?
Absolutely. I thought you would never ask. In fact, I have my hand,
Good?
but thank you. Let's have a huge round of applause for Drew, Nick, and Jane. Thank you so much. And clearly, we are getting close to our goal because the alarm went off. We thought we would just leave it on until we met the goal, but we're not quite there yet. Congratulations, Drew, and warmest wishes for your retirement. I'd love to share a little more love for our donors out there before we go. We're just over $10,000 from our goal, so let's close the gap for Morrison by tonight if we can. Who's with me? We've got Vincent Huffstutter bringing $1,000 in, which is being matched twice, because remember, we still have our $500 match in effect. Thank you so much. That leaves just 13 $500 gifts for us to reach our goal tonight. So please, 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 send them in, get them in, text them in, send us smoke signals, whatever you need to do, we'll take it. I'd also like to say thank you to Padmajaw P for your $100 gift, Scott Montgomery for $250, Catherine Kennedy with $250, and Tiffany McCleary coming in with $100. I want to thank every single one of you who donated tonight. Thank you for tuning in for Silver Linings. We are so glad that you came. Because of you, Morrison will continue to offer resources to strengthen more children and more families. It's now time to say goodbye to our live stream audience. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We hope you enjoy the rest of your night. Until next time, good night, y'all.